Hello, everybody. Talking about releasing limitations tonight because it keeps popping back up. There have been some that have crept back in for me that I thought I'd clear. I have a couple of different things here to introduce to you or remind you of. The very first one is one that I've learned working with Unstoppable Influence from Natasha, and that is writing out all of your perceived limitations. We are taught to stay in this safe space, and that creates all sorts of limitations in our mind, and it's hard for us to move into our highest, greatest potential when we are stuck in this box of, oh gosh, I'd really like to do that, but it just seems so hard, or I don't know how, or I don't think I can. A big one that I had to clear when I first decided to launch my art career was that artists can't make a living at art. That is something that people still say today to children is, oh, you like doing art, but what are you going to do for a real job? And so that creates that limiting belief that they cannot do this thing that they really, really desire to do. And so these are a few different ways of working through those limiting beliefs. And some of them might pop up and you might not even realize that you had that limiting belief. But as you're writing, something crawls out of the woodwork and you're like, oh, that's interesting. I could see how that might be stopping me from achieving whatever it is that you want to achieve. So like I said, the very first one and simplest one is just writing down those beliefs. So give yourself a time limit. That will help you to stay a little bit more focused working through that. You can play some music. I suggest you play music without words though, because if you hear tunes that you can sing along with, it will distract you from that deeper work. Go through, write anything that comes to mind. Things such as I'm not good enough, or I'm not smart enough, or any of those limitations, any of those things that crawl out, write them down, and then you get to destroy it. So I personally like to set them on fire, but you need to make sure that you have a safe space to do that. You can shred them up. You can get that dissolves in water and let them just dissolve away, whatever you really want to do. So that is the simplest way. And again, I had heard it before. I don't remember where, but mainly I've used it most with Natasha in Unstoppable Influence. Give her the shout out. The other one that I want to talk to you about is called Socratic Questioning. And I have notes down here just so I stay on task a little bit better, because I do have squirrel tendencies. So Socratic questioning is a clearing technique that questions your beliefs. Like I said before, you might not even realize that you have some limitation hidden deep within you, some beliefs that are holding you back from pursuing that dream or living that life that you really want to live. The questions, Socratic questioning, the purpose behind it is because it makes your mind curious. Anytime that something is put into a question form, it gets your higher self, it gets your inside, it gets the wheels turning, it gets things going so that in the background, it's actively trying to find an answer to it. And Socratic questioning works best when blocks show up. If you're not aware of what your blocks are, this can still work, because what you can do is just start writing. In this writing, I want you to really think about what that big thing is that you want, whether it's a wonderful relationship or an amazing job or freedom or travel or whatever that thing is, start thinking about that, and then start thinking about the things that might be holding you back from that. It's based on the premise that the meaning you give an event is the belief that attracted it. So when you're talking or writing, what I want you to focus on is looking for the meaning that you are giving that event, that belief. This hopefully is making some sort of sense for you guys. So, for example, if someone is talking along and they're like, oh, I'd really love to be able to buy this amazing house, but there's really not enough money, and I just don't think it'll ever happen. So right away, that's a cue. So in your writing, if you notice that you say those things like there's not enough, or I can't, or I don't know how, or you're thinking about finding that perfect mate, all the good ones are taken, is something that is said often. All of those are limiting beliefs. And so, as you are writing, if you come across one of those, pause there and look at how you rationalize it. So do you believe all the good ones are taken because everybody you know has an amazing partner and whatever? I mean, we can go on with all sorts of excuses as to why you might think all the good ones are taken. You always meet duds at whatever location you're going to meet people, or you keep getting in these bad relationships. Whatever it is that you are rationalizing that thing, so in this case it's the thing of all the good ones are taken, your belief is hiding in here. And so the first thing that you do if you've come across one of those sentences or phrases is ask yourself, do I really believe that? So first off, do you believe that all the good ones are taken? If the answer is no, that's great, because you're already in the process of clearing that belief. If the answer is yes, then you need to dig deeper and look into why. Why do you feel that that is the truth? Why do you feel that that is a belief? You need to look at the evidence. So what truths, what facts can you find that support that thing that you're trying to clear? At some point, you might say, oh, I don't really know why I believe that. It's just something that I've always thought. That's where the magic can happen, because that is where you can then say, okay, I'm not sure why I believe this thing that all the good ones are taken. So what would I prefer to believe? And here's where the rewriting happens. Here's where the clearing happens. Here's where you can start to restructure your thought process. When you're doing this, make sure that you are not judging. You're not trying to influence anyone if you're working with someone else while doing this. You just need to work through and try to uncover your truth of whatever this thing, limitation, this belief is. I talked to you about the two different types of beliefs, because not all of our beliefs obviously are bad for us. We have empowering beliefs that free you up to pursue things. So if you really like to learn, but a limiting belief might be, I'm not very smart, that would be a limitation. I don't feel like I'm smart enough. The empowering belief, the way to rewrite it is, I can learn anything. And then you start to find the proof to support that new thing. Beliefs are created throughout our lives because of something that has happened, that you've had judgment created because of it. An example that I heard is and I actually feel this one because I've experienced it many times, is that minivan drivers are terrible drivers. And that can be a belief that you hold, so really surface level, not super important belief, but it's just to show you the difference between finding that judgment piece and how beliefs are formed. So I've had experiences where these drivers in minivans pull out in front of me, or cut me off in traffic, or nearly sideswipe me. And so I have built that belief that minivan drivers are terrible drivers. I happen to know people who are minivan drivers, and as far as I'm aware, they're not bad drivers, but because of judgment I have placed on those events that happened to me, I have created this belief within me. So it happens throughout our entire lives. We're constantly creating these beliefs, and it's either going to be an empowering belief that we've created or something very limiting. One thing that has come up lately is that there's just not enough time. I keep getting this feeling that there's not enough time, that I have to hurry up and finish this thing. I have to hurry up and do this. I have to hurry up and launch this. And it's this constant, like, oh, there's just not enough time. I want to go enjoy life. I want to spend time with Jordan. I want to play with my cats. I want to go explore, but I have to do all these things. And so I have this belief that comes up that there's not enough time in the day to balance those things, the play and the work. And so one of them doesn't get attention because of my belief that there's just not enough time. Is it something I truly believe? No, but for the sake of this exercise, let's say I say, yeah, I feel like there's not enough time. I feel like there's not enough time because people I love say, oh, I wish you'd pay more attention to me. And then I feel bad for working. And so that just emphasizes that feeling that there's not enough time. Or I end up working all day and all night because I feel like if I stop, I might not get back to it in time. And so there's all these little things throughout my life where I have had my belief just emphasized more and more and more. When I was teaching, especially when I taught at CUNA High School and I taught yearbook, and I mean, I had a huge schedule. That's another squirrel. We could go down that, but we're not going to. But I would work non-stop, and I didn't feel like I had time to enjoy anything because I always had these tasks that needed completed. And so all of these things have helped to support that belief that I have that there's not enough time to do the work, make the impact that I want, and enjoy life and play. So how do we rewrite it? So I told you some of the evidence that supported my limiting belief. I really, looking at it, yes, it pops up often, but I don't truly believe that that's the case, because when I want to get something done, it just happens. It just gets done. I've made magic happen in short amounts of time because I just get into that mode and get it done, and then still find the time to go play or whatever, spend time with family, whatever that fun thing is, aside from what needs to be done to bring in the funds. So what I would prefer to believe, so this is the step 3. So first you discover that belief and you ask yourself, do I really believe that? Next, you ask why. Why do I believe this? Why is this a belief that I hold? And if you, once you get through all the evidence, you get to that point where you're like, well, I don't know that I really do believe that. Third is, what would you prefer to believe? So I would prefer to believe that I am exactly where I'm supposed to be in this moment. And that's something that I really had to focus on all through 2018 and 19 especially. I was constantly I had it written up on my wall. You are exactly where you're supposed to be in this moment. I had it on my phone, I believe. I had it in my vehicle. I mean, I had it everywhere, just constantly reminding me that I am exactly where I'm supposed to be in this moment. All the things that need done are going to get done when it's time to complete them. If you get the opportunity to go play, then play. If you get the opportunity to explore some amazing place, just shift things around, because you can find the time to do the work that needs done. Now, I mean, it's easier for people who are their own bosses and have their own jobs and don't have a meeting scheduled. So things like that, it kind of makes it a little bit more difficult to be so free and open with your time. Which I'm only talking about time because that's a belief that I am working through. Might not be yours, it might be yours. The point to all of this is go through the process. So again, I'm going to repeat it. Start writing down what is that big thing that you really want and why haven't you gotten there, and you're going to come across some sort of belief. So the example I gave for me is there's not enough time to play and work. Do I really believe that? That's number 2. And then, why do you believe it? Or sorry, do I really believe that is part of the first one, and discovering it and going through. Why do I believe it? And then what would you prefer to believe? So I prefer to believe that there is, and I truly do, in my core, believe that there is enough time for all of it. But it's really easy to slip back into that space of, oh, I'm so far behind, or whatever it is that pops up for you. So remember, if you're working through this, do not judge. If you're helping someone work through this, do no harm. Don't tell them it's wrong. There's nothing wrong with whatever belief is coming up. And do not influence. Just let it be. Just write the facts. Look at what's actually happened through your life that has created these beliefs. Hope this was helpful for you guys. Again, it's called Socratic Questioning. I learned it from Dr. Joe Vitale in his Clearing University. And it's a good way to sit down and really discover and then work through those beliefs and rewrite them, because most of our beliefs are limiting us and holding us back. So anyway, I'm going to bid you adieu. Bye everybody.